The suspense really continues at this point in time. It is very, very crucial to keep an eye on the developments that are still taking place in Bangladesh and how is the national capital, how is New Delhi really viewing the developments here? Because remember, we're talking about a close neighbor here, Bangladesh, with whom India shares a border which is over 4,000 kilometers long. There are 5 states in the country that directly share the border as far as Bangladesh is concerned. So it is a very, very tricky situation for India. Now, another question that is very important here is that, what really happened and why 45 minutes really were just given to Sheikh Hasina to step down? Because was the writing on the wall? Of course, many experts have now come out and said that all of this was going to happen. But the point that is also important to note here is that whether this was orchestrated, whether the army of Bangladesh also had some involvement in how things unfolded yesterday, whether army was also behind the ouster of Sheikh Hasina. Of course, there are many questions that still continue. And this is what we would like to focus on at this point in time. We are being told that the overthrow plot began 6 months ago. Remember, she came back to power very recently for her new term. However, we are now being told that army bosses, Jamaat-e-Islami, and there is a possibility of foreign hand being involved as well in this coup that we saw in Dhaka yesterday. Remember, the army chief in a televised address yesterday mentioned that 45 minutes only were given to Sheikh Hasina to leave the country. And that's exactly what happened. We are also being told that meetings remain undetected by Bangladeshi intel. Remember, the protests were going on for quite some time and it was a leaderless protest. And we still don't know who is the mastermind here. There are conspiracy theories. Some are pointing fingers towards Pakistan. Some are pointing fingers towards China. Many even believe, experts believe, that perhaps there could be a Western hand as well. A foreign hand can also be there. But was military involved or not? That's the big question. Students were a front for the coup. That's the assessment that is coming at this point in time. And this coup perhaps was funded by foreign powers. Did the army of Bangladesh that probably Sheikh Hasina trusted betray her? That is the big question at this point in time. Questions still remain unanswered. Of course, this is a developing story, but now all eyes are going to be on what next? Where is she going from India? Because of course, with the new regime that is also set to come in Bangladesh, can India afford to keep Sheikh Hasina here for more time? And these are the kind of options that we are learning from our sources that are being considered at this point in time. UK, yesterday also we were given the information that around 1 a.m. she might leave, but that did not materialize. Finland is another option. We are being told that is being explored by Sheikh Hasina right now. Belgium can be other option. UAE and India is where she is right now. I will be going across to my colleague Rishabh now, who has been tracking all the developments very, very closely. Rishabh, any clarity on where Sheikh Hasina will be going from the national capital? Did she manage to negotiate, her asylum conditions from here on? Or we are now going to see this uncertainty around her stay continuing in India for some more time?
Well, uncertainty is definitely going to continue for at least one more day, is what we are given to understand. Last evening, we were given to understand that UK is convinced to give her asylum, not a full political asylum, but a temporary asylum. But now what UK Home Office has confirmed to Times Now that there is no such provision in their immigration rule, and hence anyone who is traveling to UK with a motive of political asylum is not welcomed. Rather, the UK Home Office say that in case of international threat, the first country of safety or the first safe country is the shortest route to the safety, is what UK Home Office says. Apart from that, what we are given to understand that supporters and leaders of Sheikh Hasina's Awami League are right now negotiating on her behalf from Malaysia to Gulf region. UAE, Belgium, Finland are the few options that we are given to understand where her supporters are negotiating. Whether she has made any breakthrough or not, it's still not clear. The sources suggest here in New Delhi that she can stay till the time she gets a political assignment. Not a long time, but obviously India has given a rope to Sheikh Hasina at least to survive till she gets a full-time political asylum in any third country. As of now, she's somewhere in India, taken to a safe location is what we are given to understand, under the security of Western Air Command's Garud Commandos. As of now, further details about Sheikh Hasina is not known to anyone, but her supporters, her party leaders are negotiating on her behalf with various countries, including UAE, UK, Finland and Belgium as well.
Right, Rishabh. For now, thank you for joining us. We'll, of course, be coming back to you for more on this developing story. For now, let's also welcome our guest joining us on Breaking Ground this evening. We have with us Anisur Rahman, who is Managing Editor, Bangladesh Sangbad Sangstha. We are also joined by Heena Sikri, former ambassador. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. Heena Sikri, ma'am, I would like to begin the discussion with you because right now, Sheikh Hasina is in the national capital. Can she continue to stay here? Should she be staying here? What should be India's response to how the situation is right now, in your opinion, ma'am?
Well, I think Sheikh Hasina is an old friend of India. She has already stayed in India for several years after her father was assassinated in 1975. So she is not a new visitor for India. And now, again, when she's in a very difficult situation, this time the attack is on her herself, if she would like to stay here, I'm sure the government will consider her request very seriously. There is also the possibility, as we have just heard, that the UK may issue her a visa, that not an asylum, but stay there for some time, so she could decide to divide her time. I think it is up to Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She's been in power for a long time. She's been a good friend of India. So I don't see any problem with her staying on in India at her own convenience, because the relationship has been very intense, and she's played a big role in developing India-Bangladesh relations. I think also some of the other issues that you raised in your discussions about whether the students were just a front for the coup or whether the coup was funded by foreign power, I think that those are questions which the people of Bangladesh should be very interested in, because certainly, the students' efforts, their quota reform movement, was something that was supported by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. And she had actually not only taken the initiative to abolish the quotas in 2018, but even in the month of June, when the High Court wanted to restore the quotas that she had abolished in 2018, then her government went to the Supreme Court and took some of the student groups with them. So obviously, the student issue was not the one that has caused this uprising. It's just a description that the quota reform movement is what has caused the movement against Sheikh Hasina. It would probably be a combination of all the other factors that you have mentioned, that, whether it was planned 6 months ago, whether there was, foreign interference,
right.
Because certainly, the way in which Sheikh Hasina was treated in China when she went there last month was shocking, because it showed a complete change in China's mind and heart about the relationship with Sheikh Hasina, and a leader who had been, President Xi Jinping was in Dhaka in 2016. He promised a lot of financial assistance. From that time to now, when Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina goes there, you have a complete change. It was an indication that there was something afoot.
Right.
And of course, we know that thanks to the students' unrest, that the political wings of various political parties, like the Islami Chhatra Shibir, the Chhatra League, and the BNP student wing, they took over the protests, really.
Right.
With no longer
those are very important issues that you have highlighted. And before I go across to Mr. Anisur Rahman, I just have one more question for you, ma'am. And, standing by friends in thick and thin is very, very important. And New Delhi also simultaneously need to, also think about a strategy to engage with her opponents. It could be Jamaat-e-Islami, it could be BNP that, could really form the next government. We know how there is a fair bit of anti-India sentiment as well, given the proximity of Sheikh Hasina to India specifically. As a political leader also, she was a very good friend of India. So given this current circumstance, what should be India's next move? Ma'am, you understand the region very well, much better than any of us here. What should be New Delhi's next move? Can we afford to open another front given how the relationship is with China and Pakistan already?
Look, India's neighborhood is very important for us. We have a neighborhood first foreign policy, and we are going to focus on that. Our effort is to open good relations with all countries, have projects which are of mutual benefit, which are and based on mutual respect. We have done that with Bangladesh all the time. But it is in Bangladesh's own internal situation. First you had the assassination of Sheikh Mujib, then you had the assassination of General Ziaur Rahman, then you had the attack. In fact, I was in Bangladesh as High Commissioner when the attack on Sheikh Hasina happened, when Begum Khalida Zia was the Prime Minister, and there was an attack on her life while she was addressing a political rally in Dhaka. So these things in Bangladesh, seem to be happening one after the other, and obviously somebody is planning them. Till today, there is discussion about the assassination of father of the nation, Sheikh Mujib. Till today, there's discussion about the attack on Sheikh Hasina.
Right.
It was I think, in 2004. So, yes. And, these things are happening there, but we are conducting at all times our bilateral relations with our neighboring countries, including particularly with Bangladesh, on the basis of mutual respect and mutual interest. So we would like to continue to do that. And certainly, if the Chief of Army Staff is now in charge, I'm sure that our people will be reaching out to them. But it is quite separate from that, what you're saying about Prime Minister Hasina staying on in India for a little while. Are you indicating that this will be a precondition for developing relations? I think India is entitled to its own decisions. And we've seen in many countries of the world that, these things happen, that, people are staying as either in asylum or for some other reason in different countries, which affect other bilateral relations, but they keep on going on. So, there are things that every government decides in its own best interests. And certainly the fact that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has been an old friend is an important consideration.
Right. So we'll, of course, see what happens next. Suspense is still continuing. Ma'am, request you to stay on with us. Mr. Anisur Rahman, as the suspense continues, Sheikh Hasina is trying to find out what her next stop is going to be. Of course, she is in India currently. What is your assessment of the whole situation? And, the thing is that what next? Do you see it as a catch-22 situation for India as well?
As a matter of fact, Madam Heena said, I was to Dhaka. In Dhaka, I largely agree with her. The thing is, in Bangladesh, it is no more a major concern where she is going to be or whether she will be staying going to stay. But she could be in India or elsewhere as we are speculating. But thing is the situation is Bangladesh is still volatile after she quit and left Bangladesh, and her party appears her resignation appeared to have exposed her party, a very old party, to a state of total wilderness. The arson attacks are there across the country, including Army League offices across the country. The head office, the main central office in Dhaka and elsewhere, attacks are being carried on the Army League leaders' residences. Many of them were killed, and that is the situation. And I don't think it is not a major concern in Bangladesh where she is going to stay, where she will be living. That is the situation. But one thing is that what created the background, as it is widely assumed or widely seen that she failed to understand the ground realities and the graveness of the situation actually. The arrogance of the ruling army leaders, they stayed in power for long 15 years, and for the last few years, they are failing to understand the people. And that has created this situation. And it is a big question. What will be going to be the next? There are speculations. The students who waged the campaign first over the quota system in government jobs, they have proposed an outline for the future interim government, as it was said by the army chief yesterday. And it is up to the president and the other political parties whether their frame.
Right.
They proposed some names also. They included former army generals, the academics, and the civil society figures like economists. And it is expected that the president will name the members of the next government soon, in the next few hours.
All right. Anisur Rahman as well as Heena Sikri, ma'am, thank you very much for the moment for joining us here on Breaking Ground. This is a big story that we will continue to track for our viewers. More updates coming your way.